think what we experienced in Greece and what the Greek people experience every day, it is that these EU policies of the Troika and during this austerity regime that has been imposed, they have in reality destroyed all their life and the perception they had about the society they were living in. So if I want to put in one sentence, is that the EU is conceived like the main force that is been destroying, you know, the livelihood, you know, and the wages and the employment and the pensions, you know, and this welfare system, whatever existed in Greece. And therefore it doesn't, they don't help a lot the development of a different understanding of the common fate between the European people. So in reality, the EU policies are kind of, the EU policies are met with enmity, okay, by the Greek people, and this also underlies a threat of a return to nationalism, exactly because of the this kind of supranational bodies also impose an austerity in democracy, not only in economic austerity. So, in the main argument that these sacrifices, okay, or these austerity measures, or these extraordinary means, you know, to impose these measures, that they're necessary to keep the EU or the Europe, you know, united. In reality, they produce exactly the opposite event. I don't think that this EU architecture and these EU institutions can produce any other policies. Okay, since the outset, it was a kind of uninstitutional, in one way, a kind of unconstitutional way of creating a superstructure above the national governments that were accountable to the people, and that was the national space. It was still, and I think still is, you know, the public sphere where the people think that they can make a change, okay, and this extraction and concentration of power in the center, in the few hands, you know, in the institutions, through the EU institutions. In reality, they create a mechanism that outside of any accountability, you know, any popular accountability, in order to have the freedom to decide and sort of legitimize what it is their policies. And I think what we've been living the last years, now that all this European ideal is collapsing because of its own contradictions, because in reality all the disguises that was using, they have been removed, so the king is kind of naked, let's say. So now they turn into the more coercive practices, the more they kind of sacrifice the democracy to more authoritarian institutions. Even, you know, for example, they create new bodies, even above this kind of unaccountable, you know, and without any real power. For example, the EU Parliament hasn't got any real power. Okay, so they create Troika, okay, which has got nothing to do with any notion of a European, of a united Europe, of a democracy in Europe, of Europe as a common cultural and political or social space between the people, and the same, and even they use, you know, other means, like even the kind of how they describe them. For example, they use, they have gone even further to use military terms like task force, for example. Okay, so I think this is a production of those, the Troika, the task forces, this kind of the concentration of power, this kind of very straitjacket financial pacts that they impose to the people. They are the original kind of offsprings and results of this EU. And it is the only logic that this EU can have. So for me, a Europe of the people can be built against this EU. Okay, I don't think that I think that the EU context describes, kind of defines, you know, a very limited limited space and imagination about our ability to build, to imagine a different Europe, and even more about our kind of task to build the conditions for a different Europe.
Thank you.